Hello everyone and welcome to the long-awaited first in-depth video. To quickly recap what the series will be about. Each episode I will look at a different ship class I have built and I'll give you an in-depth basically information that I have about a space or for example I'm gonna be doing this. Today is gonna be the Anna class ships. Then I'm gonna work my way back to up until the first ships, and then I'll go into more modern times when those ship classes do come out, because I don't have them finished yet, so I can't make a video about them yet. I have 4 videos planned right now, and of course, once in a while, when another ship class is done, I'll give you another one of these as a little extra, finishing it all off basically. I am now on the map SS Anna die Schnelle. It's the first ship of this class, I believe 1874. So this is a pretty old, it's a ship, it's a sailing auxiliary liner. So it has steam engines and a funnel, as you can see. But if the weather is good, you can unfurl some sails and you'll go a lot faster. Yes, it made people feel safer because sailing ships were more reliable, and steam engines did break down a lot more back then and were less reliable, as if, for example, if suddenly your boilers didn't get enough energy out of the fuel, you suddenly ran out, you would have had a problem otherwise. And yeah, so it's still a very old auxiliary liner. Now to its story, it had a pretty standard life till 1998, when it struck rocks around Newfoundland and I sank, and we will be going into the wreck of the ship later on in the video. But first we gotta look at the first ship of the class and see the main design I came up with, and I'll do it deck per deck to make it more organized. So the highest point on the ship is, as you can see, the bridge. It's open, there's no wheelhouse, also somewhat common, so if it was bad weather, too bad for you, you're gonna get a little soggy. But it was still very updated. Now these aren't supposed to be solar panels, I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Maybe storm drains, I don't know. I just put them there because I think this look nice. And then on the lower deck is the main boat deck, as you can see, with boats on the side. And also the wheelhouse. So yes, I completely forgot there's a wheelhouse. But the problem is you can't see much from it, so you kind of have someone screaming from over here, so turn left. So yeah, it's basically, if the weather is really unbearable and you're gonna slip off the deck otherwise, then you go in here. Normally you don't. There's a storage room here for chart stuff and compasses and things for navigation basically, and over here is the navigation room itself with blueprints actually. And here the quartermaster and the captain sleep. They are the most high-ranking officers basically, as they have most control over the ship and have the nicest cabin with even a private little bathroom. Now the other officers are on the deck below, but we'll get to that later. Now if you go over here, this is basically crew on this deck. There's a compass platform up there, so there won't be many passengers strolling around, except all the way back here where this little canopy is. Here you can have passengers, but they are not allowed to go all the way over there, and you really wouldn't want to, because the view is bad and there's a lot of equipment. But over here it's a little nicer, you can sit, you even have these little trapdoors so you can look through it a little bit. Over here is another compass platform that's very open, a little more airy. You have nice sun. I got stuck in the wires, that's not that great. And after that is a big open space, and then we have this area here, again just for crew, we have the aft docking bridge. It's very big actually, and you can see it's used for steering in the harbor. It's also a pretty direct steering. The helm is pretty close to the rudder, so you don't need a lot of hydraulic stuff, and you can basically do it directly. So if something in the chain system breaks, you can use this one. Go away, fly. And you also got some telegraphs that are also connected to the engine room, so you'll still get your orders just as fine. Now we've got some more deck equipment, just like on the very bow. It's nothing special. And speaking of the very bow, it's also very interesting. A lot of equipment again, with this of course a cargo hatch. You have to have at least one of those, obviously. You have some winches, some steam winches, some docking stuff, and even on a ventilation little thing. Yes, I tried to make it a little more realistic with these little ventilation shafts that actually go down into rooms. Each compartment has one of these, so I tried to make it a little more realistic. And over here we have the slanted deck thing. This was very popular during this era, in the 1870s especially. Ships like the Teutonic, the first Oceanic and Atlantic, for example, or Germanic and Britannic had these. And I believe even Kaiser Wilhelm the Große and even those ships have that still. So it was a mid to late 19th century thing that was popular. And underneath that is the forecastle. Over here we have more storage, and yeah, basically it's just a little storage room. It's not even full height, so normally you're not supposed to be here. It's also just crew. Then we have some oil lamp storage, because I forgot to mention, electric lamps did not exist during this time period, so there were oil lamps, and they did break sometimes, so you needed replacements, and they had the issue they could go out and you'd have to relight them, so you have a store to have basically portable oil lamps to take if something bad happens. Some small toilets are over here for the crew. It's very dark because no lamp could go in there. Then there's a staircase going down to trimmers and stokers. Then that door goes forward again, and we even have this little workshop, because even small ships needed some repairs at least once in a while. Then we have this superstructure building. We have the steerage. Has its toilets on this deck, and then it also goes down there to the actual steerage compartments, which during this time steerage was literally just you'd get a bed, a toilet, and a little bit of food, and good luck. And that's because of the culture back then. The steerage was just basically to travel to a new world basically and start a new life. So it was the immigrant class basically. You didn't expect anything. You were lucky to survive the voyage and start a new life over there. We have some more officers' quarters. Over here we have the high-ranking officers. We have the third, for example, and because they are officers, they have their own little toilet rooms. Very, very nice. The leading officers over here, he doesn't get as nice quarters. They all get the same. That's because even though they were high-ranking, they still weren't as high-ranking as the quartermaster and captain. And they had their mess over here with even a nice little skylight. Nothing much, but it's very comfortable for the time period especially. We have some stewards, yes, on the open deck. There were some ships, real ships actually, where the galley or toilets weren't accessible without going on deck. So yeah, back then ships were really cheaply made, and you didn't expect much. The quality was subpar. Now here's another crew mess. This is a little bit a simpler crew mess for some of the lower crew. Deck B crew, yes, this is an emergency staircase. Down there will be the galleys. However, they are actually, on my ship, they are accessible from the interior. Now, while talking, we went into here. This is a ventilation room. Here we have the main ventilation, and you get even a little sneak peek into the reciprocating engine room. So that's a little nice addition. And it's also nice and open, and so it's also kind of ventilation for that. And that's all for this house, or superstructure bit. Then over here, this aft bit is for saloon class. Now we get into the really nice stuff. We have the forward staircase of saloon class, which is the centerpiece basically. And then right forward of that we have the main saloon. I tried to make the saloon as comfortable as possible, so you would really feel comfortable sitting here for hours, playing cards, socializing, listening to music, and even reading books, as you can see. So it's a room for everything, so I'm tried to make it nice and livable. And aft here we have this open deck, also more for saloon class. A staircase going up there. This aft staircase of the saloon class, very small, as it's just an emergency staircase, because people, it would get crowded if a ship started sinking and everyone went up that one staircase. Now we have a deck pantry over here, because reasons. And we have the toilet also, so if you really need to go and you don't have time to go to your cabin, you can go over here and take a dump. On the other side we have deck chairs for the deck, so that's nice. Then we have the steering engine. Yes, I love rooms like this because I like the technical portions. And a little bit ago I actually saw, not in real life, but on a video, I saw a working steering engine. It obviously was a lot smaller than this. It was of the SS Shield Hull, a steamship still in operation today, and it was really cool to see the parts actually move and see that how the thing actually worked. I did know already, but to see it move and actually function how it should it's something for itself, so that was nice. So we now are at the bow in the very forward compartment. We are now in the stokers and trimmers sleeping compartment. This compartment is 2 decks high, so there's also a lower deck. And as you can see, these are the ventilation thingies I talked about before. So I do try to make the ships even more realistic every time I build a new class, as I try to aim for a pretty high standard and basically try to improve everything as much as I could possibly do it. Now the next compartments are all steerage sleeping compartments, very crowded and also very probably not the greatest, but it was born out of necessity of transporting the immigrants to America, so they cut corners obviously. I believe you even had to take your own mattress. I believe all your eating utensils, everything, you had to bring all that and wash it yourself, so yeah, I would rather pass. As you can see, a lot of compartments. I didn't do exact maths, but approximately 600 steerage passengers would fit on here, so wow. You wouldn't believe how many fit in here. Then after that we have the galleys, we have the pastry kitchen, we have cakes that are floating. Yeah, it's supposed to kind of resemble like a rack that you with like this, and yes, it looks like it's floating, but a little bit of fantasy and you'll see the rack. Then you got some ingredients on the table, they're making cakes. Then you got some hot press, and then some ovens. Then here we got the chopping board basically for meat. Then we got the soup kitchen, and where you also do salads and stuff. Very nice, very nice. And here we have the dispensary. Here we go here we have take the plates, put them in and wash them basically. So it's the dispensary beer. And we have some more stewards on this deck, and also some more crew. There's suddenly the doors change over here, I don't know why. Then we have the engineering. We have the control room, or basically the switchboard platform. We have another view of the reciprocating engine room. Yeah, on these old ships, it went pretty high up, and basically up to the main deck. Now we are in the saloon class again. They have most of their cabins on this deck, although some of them are on the deck below that. As you can see, I'm gonna take a sneak peek down here. A lot of cabins. And this is the lower saloon. Here it's basically your secondary lounge. So if the other one is full, you go there. Now we are at the main dining room. I tried to make it as nice as possible, but make it so it's for its time, and I personally think it came out somewhat well. It's very big, and it even got this little smoking corner, so if you are a smoker, you can go in here and enjoy a nice little smoke and discuss business, basically. Then we have, yes, here's the purser's office. Sorry about that, I had to make a little space on my hard drive because it was running out fast. Because I didn't expect how long this video would suddenly become. We're already, I believe, at 20 minutes, so just more cabins. So I think we'll move on to engineering, because I think that's the most interesting. Almost forgot where the boiler room entrance was. Yeah, that's what time does to you. If you're not on a ship for a while, you'll forget everything. That's what happened for me for my very first ships. It's like a very new experience every time. Anyways, we're now in the forward boiler room. As you can see, you have the boilers. They're currently on fire, actually. So, and you can close them. I like this because I wanted it to be a little more interactive, so I made it like this. And as you can see, I put on some lanterns, some coal bunker doors over here without the doors. Yes, I don't know why I didn't put at least some trapdoors up there to symbolize that. But I guess I didn't know how to make vertical trapdoors, iron trapdoors then. But then do now, so that's something nice. Now this is the second boiler room, basically identical, nothing special. And if we go through the scary corridor, we are now in the main engine room. Now the ship has only got one engine, as it only needs one engine, and it's already massive. Really, it is massive. And as you can see, here's the crankshaft with the rods, basically. I don't know what to call these, up here with the connections, and up here are the pressure casings. So I try to put in a lot of detail. I'm no engineer, but I like to make it as accurate, and that's why I need to know a lot about engine rooms. So it's kind of like collateral knowledge. And over here we have some technicians workshops and storage rooms. We have the dynamos as well, so if the ship's generators lose power, we have some emergency ones over here. Then we got some condensers, very small. I now built them bigger. Yes, the ship was released sometime 2 months ago, I believe, or 2.5 months ago, and yet I already know what to change. Yeah, time flies fast, and over the last year I changed a lot. Now, and even now I changed still a lot. So I have a pretty big improvement curve. Why did I say curve? My English is lacking today, and it's probably because it's Monday. Now we are in the shaft, in the tunnel, and basically the propeller tunnel. You can see the shaft going all the way aft, where will eventually go to the propeller, and that's how the ship is propelled forward. So that's basically the gist of the first ship of the class. Now we'll get into the second ship of the class. where we'll see a lot of improvements and changes made. So we are now at SS Anna die Schöne. It's the second ship of the class, built 1 year later, and it comes with a lot of changes and improvements that needed to happen because some things didn't work right, or some things needed to be made better to basically compete in an ever-changing market. As in 1870, with the complete turnaround of shipping with the SS Oceanic, things started to change pretty fast, so you needed to keep being ahead of that storm to keep profitable. And the first big changes is this aft section that was added. I'll be in spectator mode to be more concise. We have now got this reading and writing room on the boat A deck for first class, and they even got this nice clock panel. So they already see some improvements. And the aft staircase is also now a little bit bigger and airy, and it's also a little bit improved. Their smoking corner is also a little bigger now, with nice windows, and generally improved, as well as to keep up with the improving market. Some extra luxuries were added. However, due to they improved some safety, so here this bulkhead was extended 1 deck, and this lower saloon was cut up and it's now smaller. That's also why the writing room now exists, to make up for that. And another big change is over here. The officers went up to the boat deck. They're completely identical, however they're now up here instead of down below. The same with the lookouts and the other masters of the CEA. This is all the same. Yet, now that the officers are gone from down below, steerage took its place, and so there's more space for steerage over here. So you can see a smaller room for some more steerage passengers to stay at, basically maximizing profitability. And they now also get a secondary toilet, so that's nice. They get a little better facilities. And it's also, I feel a little more airy down here because of these openings in the cargo hold down here. And I actually forgot about these cargo holds in the bow over here. Here we have a wheat storeroom, nothing special, but here we have the food storing stuff. So we have milk products over here. We have basically fruits and vegetables. What do we have? We have champagnes and wines, some more simpler drinks. Then we have some extra storage. Then we have the meat, obviously we need that, big amounts of that actually. We have the plates and dishes, basically more storage, very small storage. And we have the thawing room, where the meat is taken out of the meat room and warmed up, ready for production. And down here we have another cargo hold. I'm particularly a fan of this. I like it. I really like how that turned out. I don't want to toot my horn, but I am a fan of a few things I have done. And that's actually most of the changes, surprisingly. It's very easy explaining all this, but ripping out most of the ship and rebuilding it was not fun, I can tell you that. But it was also very interesting seeing what I could change, what maybe could work better like this and that. So that was very nice. So now let's move on to the fate of the first ship we saw, so the wreck of SS Anna die Schnelle. Here we are. I like to have it at night time because it's more eerie and it fits better. I'm gonna go in spectator mode now. I really like the atmosphere that came out with this model. At first I just wanted to make this just for fun, like nothing special. It's just because why not? And that's why I did it, and I do not know why don't I want to light up then. And this was first supposed to be just a little side project for myself, try to make a nice looking rack, but then I got really committed and I finished the entire rack, and now we're here. And now I have finished it, and then I decided, hey, now that I have a rack lying around, why not release it? So I released it, and that's why we're here now. And to explain why it looks like this, this is in 1950, so it's 52 years after it sank, fictionally of course. And it's in this state because when it crashed down, it sank bow first, as most ships did. It's kinda bends the bow slightly, and it crushed the top bit, and when it settled down, it was kind of messed up. So yeah, that's how that looks. And as you can see, some bits have collapsed over the years. There's a lot of sea debris lying around. The masts are rotten away, so there's nothing left of that. The rudder, when the stern crashed down, the rudder bent out of position, so that's not that great. It kind of broke. And most of these rooms are basically the same. They're just basically empty husks, basically. As you can see, the steerage rooms are very dark. I don't know why it doesn't work, so I'll have to set it to noon so you see something at least. As you can see, it's pretty eerie because everything's empty and there's this lamp hanging. And yes, it's very dark in some places. As you can see, I tried to replicate some tiles still being visible, but most have eroded away over time. So yes, I tried to age the look of the ship, and obviously some metal parts are still intact, as this cauldron is. It just broke off. So I tried to be realistic with it, but also add some extra bits to make it more interesting to look at. There's even some stained glass windows still in the frames, but most of them are pretty broken. The engineering bits are very intact. They're just discolored, obviously. And as you can see, some of the linoleum tiles are still intact also on this deck. The dining room is very, very recognizable still, with the stained glass windows and the flooring still being mostly there. The poor piano is mostly eroded away. It's basically collapsed on itself. However, this upper deck is mostly destroyed, as the mast has crashed down on the dome and completely collapsed it. So this part is completely destroyed, along with its ornaments and everything, and it's also been exposed to the elements. Same with this room, the sides have been mostly blown out, so as the tiles are still there, but most of the ornaments and everything has disappeared over the years, so that's no good. Gosh, I really need to remember to breathe every so often, so or I'll basically collapse at the end of this. That's the YouTuber's life after video collapse. Everything is still the same, creepy Minecraft noises. For once they actually make sense. Then as you can see, the engines are still intact. And as you can see, I tried to replicate the scene of collision when the engine stopped. It was still in it was stopped in this position, so I'm left it in this position as it sank, so that's a nice detail. And I also closed the watertight doors, obviously, as they were closed, and so you will have a harder time passing through the engineering areas, and also yes, so you have a hard time going through the engineering parts, but this watertight doors are all closed. And even I'm disoriented now. Anyways, yes, that's basically the wreck. Nothing special. It's very eroded, and I forgot to mention everything. I think I'll put everything that's for download down into the description. Anyways, because I'm disorientated now, I'll move on to the final ship. Okay, so at first you may think, hey, nothing's changed. It's basically just Einer der Schöne again. But no, this is actually her as a troop ship in the Boer War. For those that don't know, and I didn't know for a while as well, the Boer War was a Middle Eastern conflict, I believe, in 1899 till 1902, and many ships actually served in it. So mine did as well. As you can see, some curtains cover the promenade decks as people are being squeezed onto every little spot. And as you can see, the windows are covered up because you need to be stealthy, and there's not supposed to be a single light on board giving away your position. So every single window is covered up, even the portals are. And the steerage compartments are reused as the troop areas, including of course the areas on deck. Just those are added so to maximize troopage basically. And there's even an infirmary on deck for injured people. And saloon class is still somewhat there. It's mostly for soldiers and high-ranking officers. As you can see, they took out this wall, added some more furniture. As you can see, it doesn't belong. Same with up here, it doesn't belong because obviously it had to be added because the line didn't want it to get damaged, and then the Admiralty was like, hey, we do need some furniture, so let's plonk some in. And as you can see, it's pretty scary sometimes with all the windows and skylights covered up. So yes, that's basically her in her troopship library. And a few years after her troopship library, she still would serve as an ocean liner. Yet in 1907 she would be scrapped as new ships were built, and she really was breaking down at that point. Like she's 42 or 43 years, where she was very old by that point. So yeah, no wonder she was breaking apart. And that's basically the gist of the entire class. I was surprised how concise everything had to be kept, and still how long everything got. So I'll see how long the final product will be. I hope you enjoyed this slightly deeper dive here and there, and I'll try to be a little less concise, a little more in depth next time, to be a little more into the show. But I really need to get into the format of having big videos, and I kind of ran out of storage space halfway through, and I don't have a lot of time as well, so I had to keep it a little shorter. Anyways, that's it for this one. I'm a floating head now, and as a floating head I will ask you to consider subscribing to my channel if you like this video. Go down into the description if you liked any of these ships and download them on Planet Minecraft. And if you have a comment, go on to Planet Minecraft. I will be posting a wall post where you can comment your ideas, as the comment section I had to turn off the comment section for reasons. Anyways, that will be the video. Goodbye.